Hey everyone, so I got good news. This is super easy lesson and super short. We're going to be comparing and ordering. And the good news is with comparing and ordering, you already know how to do the math, so really we're just doing some tips and steps. Tip number 1, you need to change all your numbers to percents. And these kind of questions are the questions that's going to give you like 5 numbers and it's going to say put them in order from least to greatest or put them in order from greatest to least. Step number 2. Don't forget about adding back your positive and negative signs. Even with percents. Because 20% and negative 20% are two different things. Alright, you need to think of your number line for step number 3, or tip. Think of your number line. Remember how we stuck up our pointer finger and our left thumb on like one of the very first days of class and we said left is least because your left hand, when you hold up your pointer finger and your thumb, looks like a giant L. So left is least. So if left is least, what has to be greater? If left is over here, and left is least, then right has to be greater. So all of our least numbers are over here and all of our greater numbers are over here. Number 4, count the amount of numbers in your problem and the amount of numbers in your answer, and make sure they're the same. You don't want to leave any out. So what it's talking about is if you get 5 problems and they say list these in order from least to greatest, you don't want your answer to only have 4 numbers because then you wouldn't have finished the problem and it won't be correct. So make sure that you count all the ones in your problem and all the ones in your answer. Next, after you've done all your math and are rewriting your numbers, make sure you are leaving them in the original form. So if you change them all to percents, don't list them all in percents. Change them back to the original form. We'll look at some examples. So this says order the following from greatest to least. Well, I'm going to circle greatest and I'm going to circle least because I'm going from greatest to least. So I know that my greatest is going to be over here and my least is going to be over here when I'm listing them. So my first step, if you look at the top of your page, it says change all your numbers to percents. Okay, so let's deal with our decimals. Remember, to change a decimal to percent, we do dp. How do I go from a decimal, d, to a percent? Good, I move it 2 places to the right. So, 2 places to the right puts it here, and that changes this 300ths to 3%. What about this? 1200ths. Well, same thing. You have a decimal and you need to get to a percent, so you have to go 2 places to the right. So if I move 2 places to the right, this changes this to 12%. Luckily, we already have 6%, so we just rewrite it. Well, now we got to figure out 1/50th as a percent and 1/25th as a percent. In case you forgot, in order to change a fraction to a percent, we have to go from a fraction to a decimal and then to a percent. So to change from a fraction to a decimal, remember a fraction is just a division problem. But my top dog goes in the house. Dot, 0, dot. Can 50 go into 10? Nope, it goes in 0 times, so I need to add another 0. Can 50 go into 100? Good, twice. Well, now I have a decimal, and remember to change a decimal to a percent, we have to move it over twice. So 200ths changes to 2%. Alright, 1/25th, same thing. Rewrite it. Go from a fraction to a percent. We have to change it into a decimal first. Okay, 25 can't go into 1, so I go dot, 0, dot. Can 25 go into 10? Nope. Add another 0. Can 25 go into 100? Yes. How many times? Good, 4. 4 times 25 is 100, so I know I am finished. So I now have my decimal and go from a decimal to a percent. We use dp, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this changes to 4%. I'm going to make a little number line. and I'm going to line these up on the number line. So remember, we always have our 0. We'll put our 0 over here. It can go in the middle though, but which number's least? Well, I got 2%. Then I have, cross it out, 3%. Cross it out. Then I have 4%. Cross it out. Then I have 6%. Cross it out. And 12%. What do you think we're going to say? Cross it out. Alright, so now I check. This wasn't ever really part of our problem. Do I have all my numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good, so I know I have all of them, but in order to list them from greatest to least, I need to look at my number line. And we say left is least, so right is greater. So I need to list them starting this one's going to be first, and that one's going to be last. First, last. So 12%, remember step number 5 says put all your numbers in original form. So the 12% really represented 12 hundredths. So it'll be 0.12, lazy man talk. And then I have 6%. Well, that was the same. That was 6%, so I can rewrite 6%. Then I have 4%, which was 1/25. Then I have 3%, which was the 300ths. And then I have my last little baby was 2%, and that was 1/50th. So, did I list from greatest to least? Yes. Do I have 5 numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yes. Is this my final answer? Yes. Good. Y'all try and do this one on your own. Don't forget about your negative signs. So, our tip was to change all of our numbers to percents. Well, 0 as a percent is just 0%. Alright, 1 as a percent, oh man, I don't know. So I have -1. Where does my decimal go? If you have $1, think of it like that. If you have $1, where are you going to put your decimal? Right here or right here? You're going to put it right here, okay? So, now, to go from a decimal to a percent, I have to go over 2 spaces. 1, 2. 1, 2. Fill in your zeros. Put a percent sign. This is -100%. -100%. 3/10 as a decimal. Well, or as a percent. I have a decimal, so I go over 1, over 2. So I go over 1, over 2. Fill in this little hump right here. So now I have 30%. Let's look at our fractions. I always say our fractions for the last because it's always the most work. 5/3 turns into, put our top dog goes in the house, dot, 0, dot. Can 3 go into 5? Yes, it can. How many times? Once. 1 times 3 is 3. Subtract 2. Bring down our 0. 3 can go into 20 how many times? 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract, add another 0. What do we notice? It's going to keep repeating. So I can put some 6's out here and put a repeating bar and then put a percent sign. But is this a true percent yet? No, because I still have a decimal. I need to change it, so I shouldn't have wrote that yet. I need to change it from a decimal to a percent. 1, 2, 1, 2. What is 5/3 as a percent? It's 166.6 repeating percent. That's a lot of percent. But that's the answer. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I still got to deal with this 2/5. In case you don't have your fractions memorized, 2/5. Top dog goes where? In the house. Dot, 0, dot. 5 can go into 2. 0 times. 5 can go into 20. 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. 0.4. That's lazy man talk. 0.4 is a percent. From get to a decimal to a percent, we use DP. 1, 2, 1, 2, 40%. Now, to list from least to greatest, least to greatest, we need to do our number line. Alright, much better. So, least to greatest, well, that's the way my number line looks, right? We have left on the least, so I can just do this. 0% is always going to go somewhere in the middle, 0%. Alright, where are we going to put 166.6%? That's pretty big, so I'm going to put it pretty far over here because remember our positive numbers are on the right, so 166.6 repeating percent. Then, so I've done the 0 and I've done the 166. What about the negative 100? Negative numbers go to your left, so if I have negative 100%, it's going to go over there. Alright, then I have 30%. Well, 30% is less than 166.6%, so I'm going to put 30% right here. And then I got 40%. Well, 40% is bigger than 30%, so I'm going to put 40% right here. Now I can list my numbers from least to greatest in the original form. So 100% was -1, and then I had 0. Then 30% really represented 3/10. 40% represented 2/5. And 166 and 6 repeating really represented 5/3. I lost my mouse. So I need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is it, folks. That is all. As always, don't forget to scroll down right now, answer your questions, press submit. It is your responsibility, not whose, not Miss Grenade's, not Miss Hitchcock's, and not Miss Smith's. Have a great night.